Oosh. What's up, guys? I realized that in an era of men chopping their dicks off, putting on lipstick and dresses, behaving like women, we need more real men. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to become a man. So obviously, to know how we need to behave to be a man, first we need to define what a real man is. So when you think of a real man, who do you think of? It may be your father, it may be a man you know, it may be Jesus. I don't know who you think of, but what characteristics make you think he's a real man? You see, men have always been characterized for being leaders, for making everyone do better, for sacrificing themselves for the rest, for being hard workers. All those characteristics are common in every single man that has been recognized by the world. So today, I'm going to show you the 5 traits you need to have to become a real man. Let's get into it. So the first trait that a real man has is that he sticks to his creeds and values no matter what. I don't know what values you have. I don't know what you believe in. I don't know what you think is right or wrong. What I do know is that you certainly have an opinion over a lot of topics on the world. Maybe you think that kids cutting their dick off at a young age is okay. Maybe you think that it's not. That's one of your values. Maybe you think that you need to be hardworking. Maybe you think that you can relax. That's one of your values. All I know is that you have a set of mental rules that you try to live by. Now, the problem is that they're not strong enough. If the media starts telling you that your values are bad, or that they're toxic, or that they're not good, will you listen to them? Will you change your values just because someone said so? If the going gets hard and your values are tested and the easier way out is to not follow your values, will you take the easier way out? Or will you stick to your values even though it'll make you suffer? The second trait of a true man is that he's strong. The second trait of a real man is that he's strong, both mentally and physically. We'll start with the mentally strong part. What is mentally strong? Is it having a lot of motivation? Is it running 10 miles every day? Yes and no. Obviously, when I said the 10 miles, you thought about David Goggins. And obviously, he's very mentally strong. But to be mentally strong, you don't need to do all that. You just need to do 2 things. Have discipline and eliminate procrastination. So instead of trying to motivate yourself to do the tasks that you know you need to do, like maybe you watch a bunch of motivational reels or you watch a motivational video, you know that eventually your body's not going to want to do something one day and you're going to have a bad day. And discipline is doing things when you don't want to do them. So you're going to have enough discipline to do that task on that certain day that you really don't fucking want to. The second is procrastination. Have you ever had a gym session you had to go to, or class, or maybe you have to study or do some homework, and you think about it for 3 hours, and then at the end of the day you realize that you haven't even gotten it done? You know, if instead of waiting 3 hours to do it and end up not doing it, you would have used those 3 hours to start ASAP, you would have done maybe like an hour or so. So you just spent 3 hours doing nothing when you could have just only used 1 hour and completed the task you had to do. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't that difficult. You were just making a big deal out of it. Eliminate procrastination. And the best way to do this is the 10-second method. When you know you need to do something, and it pops in your mind, you have 10 seconds to start doing it. If you need to do your homework, you have 10 seconds to pull out your computer or whatever, or your pencil, and start doing it. If you have to go to the gym, you have 10 seconds to start preparing, brushing your teeth, putting on your gym clothes, start doing it. Now, it might sound very extreme, but it works very well. Now, every time you miss these 10 seconds, you have to punish yourself. Maybe you have to do 50 push-ups and still do the task. You have to train your brain to say, do I want to do what's hard or do I want to do what's harder? Hard is I have to do this in 10 seconds. Harder is I have to do this and I have to do 50 push-ups because I didn't complete the 10-second rule. So, discipline and motivation. Now, a second aspect of being strong is being physically strong. I'm not saying you need to be a strongman or the next Mr. Olympia or a power lifter, but you need to be physically fit. What does that mean? You need to be able to have enough cardio to where you can fight, you can run, you can swim. You have to have enough strength to where you can carry everyday objects, maybe if you want to help your wife around, or if you have to pick your kids up, or if you have to defend yourself. And you should look aesthetic, because if you have a good body, people respect you more. So there's no point in being super jacked if you're fat and gas out in 10 seconds. You want to have as low body fat percentage as possible while having as much muscle as possible. Now, obviously, your physical goals depend on what you do. You know, maybe if you're a fighter, you have different physical goals than a swimmer. So that depends on you. But you get the point. You have to be physically strong as a man. The third trait of a real man is that he's a leader. That can be the leader of a family. That can be the leader of your church, the leader of a team, the leader of your friend group, anything. The leader of your relationship. You need to know how to be a leader. And many people get it confused. Leading isn't ordering people around, being a tyrant. Leading is sacrificing yourself for others so much that they feel motivated by you to do the same. Leading is knowing how to talk to people to bring out the best version of themselves. Leading is knowing how to organize everything so people don't have to think. They just have to do. Leading is making everything so simple that no one has to worry. A good leader has to have confidence, first of all, because if you don't have confidence, you don't trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, why would people trust you? The second trait of a good leader is charisma. Because to be a good leader, you have to be able to communicate effectively. And to communicate effectively, you have to be charismatic. You have to be friendly. People have to want to listen to you. Because if you sound like a dick all the time, why would they want to listen to you? And the third trait of a leader is that he's a problem solver. When times get tough, everybody looks at one certain man. When times get tough for you, maybe look at your dad or your mentor. Why do you look at him? Because you know that I don't care what happens, he's going to solve it. People should be looking at you that way. You need to be resourceful. You need to be able to solve any problem on the dot, quickly, smoothly. The fourth trait that I think every real man has is that he is capable of violence. Now, it's not to be confused with you go around and beat the shit out of everyone you see, because that's not a real man. A real man is capable of violence, and more so knows when and when not to use it. Have you ever seen these videos where there's these two men just screaming at each other face to face, and they're just barking? It's like two dogs that bark a ton but don't bite. And everyone's just cringing around them because it's corny. Like, we both know you're not going to do anything. That's not a real man. You never want to be put in that position. Because if someone challenges you and is putting your life or the life of your loved ones at risk, and you deep down know that you're not going to be able to defend them, your confidence is gone. And more so, the safety of you and your loved ones might be gone. So what does the capability of violence mean? Let's be realistic. Every man knows that fighting is what it comes down to. When two men fight, the reason they don't disrespect each other too much is they know that there's a fine line to where hands are going to be thrown. So if you know that you can't back up your words, you're not going to talk too much. I'm not saying you should become a professional MMA fighter or learn every single martial art there is, but you should be able to defend yourself against the average man. Do some jiu-jitsu, do some boxing, do some Muay Thai, whatever, except Aikido. Don't do that. Just know that you need to be able to defend you and your loved ones if it really came down to it. Because you never want to be put on World Star with those two men just screaming at each other's faces like girls and then getting your shit rocked in front of your girl. Don't be that guy. Learn how to fight. And the final trait that every man should have is to be capable. Capable to me means being able to provide for your family. And I'm not saying you need to be a multimillionaire. I'm not saying how much you need to make. I'm just saying you need to find a way to be financially stable enough to where your future kids aren't going to have to worry about if they're going to have food on the table, if they can buy this toy, etc. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not a person that makes a ton of money right now. I'm only 17. But one thing that I am doing is building the skills to make a lot of money in the future. I think every single young man should be doing that. You have no reason, especially nowadays with the internet and how much more simplified it is to make money and how much resources you have. I think there's no reason to not be able to learn how to make money. And there's so many outlets that you can take. I mean, we can name the mainstream ones like copywriting, sales, SMMA, blah, blah, blah. You can learn a trade. You can go to university. You can be a doctor. Point is, you need to be able to make money. I know it sounds superficial, but that's the sad world we live in. We need money right now. Maybe back then you could have traded in maybe your carpentry work for some food. Not now. Now you need money. Florida, here where I live, 100K doesn't really get you by if you have a full family. So that puts things into perspective. Now, if you don't have money to buy a course or anything, that's completely fine. But there's no excuse because you have YouTube, you have Google, you have all that. I learned content creation on YouTube. I'm still learning, but it's still on YouTube. You can learn sales on YouTube like I did. You can learn anything on YouTube. The point is to start learning and never stop. So those are the 5 traits I think every man should have. Let me know if you agree with me.